who is up next? What is the running order?
Anyone you want.
Should we go to... I'm going to go to you.
Okay. Well, my kind of thing was, it's not so much of a question, but more of a how cutscenes and cinematics affect games and your enjoyment of the game. Like, for example, some of my favourite cinematics are the ones where you play the game and the cinematic is almost like watching a film or a movie. So an example would be probably the new StarCraft trilogy, like Wings of Liberty. You start off and it's just a movie. It's basically a movie. You play some game, and you get a bit more cinematic, and you play the game to get the more of the movie, which is quite cool. But yeah, I just wondered what your guys' takes on that kind of thing were.
I can go either way with this one. My normal habit is... so, the Star Wars Online, MMO.
Yeah.
First time I played it, whacked the CD in, because I had a CD drive.
Wow, cool.
You know what I mean? Bought it from a shop.
Real one?
Believe it. An actual shop. I went to an actual shop. I even bought like a map guide as well, because I'm all Star Wars. I was like, where is this? Where is this? I'm not going to play the game. I'm going to read the book. I'm going to think about game guides. I've got like a...
Game guides are cool.
I'm stacked with them. Brady Games and Piggyback and stuff like that. I love them. And so the first thing I do when an opening cinematic happens is I went, escape. I want to play the game. Escape. Press it. If it doesn't work, I'm pressing it a lot.
See, people like that.
I will activate sticky keys to get rid of that thing when you press a button 2 minutes too fast.
Yeah.
But so there was one before you can click I want to play the game, and you create your character, and depending on the class, there is now another FMV or whatever you want to call it in the game cinematic before you can actually get to the game. And I didn't watch either of them. I was like, I'm not bothered. It's an MMO.
See, people like you make me sick.
This comes from a Final Fantasy fan. This is the issue, because that's all cinematics, or for the most part. When they advertised Final Fantasy VII, didn't they advertise it as 100 hours of cinematics or something ridiculous like that? Like there was a lot of cutscenes. It's on the back of the case. I have to find it out. But the second time when I recently went back to play it, I sat and watched them all. Yeah. I didn't intend to. I just kind of, what's going on here? There's a lot of lightsabers.
You had the time. You've played it. You've seen it.
I know what the game is. I'm not rushing to the game anymore. And I think I'll probably pay more attention the second time round to FMVs, and that's just probably because I've played so many RPGs and I've seen so many cutscenes, and
there's a lot of
grind a little
games
bit.
that you can give like a nod to cutscenes as well, like Bioshock's another one. There's so many. So I can't even name them now.
They're more like set pieces.
I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum of cutscenes. So like I've played a game before, so like Final Fantasy. 4 hours in, it's been a cutscene. I've accidentally pressed something and skipped it, and I will turn it off and go again because I'm like, I'm not missing this cutscene.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
I'm not missing it and then carrying on the game. I'm not going to know. I'm always in it for the plot, so if I'm going to miss that, it's going to annoy me.
I'm exactly the same.
But the one on about cutscenes, like I can rant about this game for like days. But Metal Gear Solid 4.
That's when you say cutscenes. That's the game that came into my head.
I enjoyed the Metal Gear Solid series. I love number 1 and number 2. And when it came to play number 4, everyone in the world's absolutely raving about this game. It's like Grand Theft Auto. They can release one that is the worst game in the world. They're still going to give it a 9 or 10 out of 10, and everyone's going to jump on the bandwagon and be like, best game ever. Metal Gear Solid 4, I knew it was a bad game when I played it at university. We got the PS3 set up, and I had some friends over. We put the game and got it all installed, and we're ready to play. And there's 4 of us in the living room watching this game. I'm sitting on the sofa next to my mates from uni, and all I remember is waking up 2 hours later. It's the middle of the day. We put it on like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We just got back early from lectures, and everyone in the room was asleep. We hit a cutscene, and all 4 of us had just fell asleep. And that, to me, was the sign of an awful game. I was like, I've overdone it. Cause
that same cutscene as well. But that cutscene was still playing when you woke up.
I can't remember. It wouldn't surprise me.
I'm pretty sure in Metal Gear Solid 4 there is a 2-hour cutscene.
Yeah.
That actually is. It's longer than a movie.
That's crazy.
It's been on the disc.
Konami do what they want, apparently.
I think cinematics are losing their spectacle and they're overusing them like Metal Gear Solid. So rather than you making the story your own, cutscenes kind of force them on you. Whereas I always saw cutscenes as a spectacle. It's something that happens when shit's about to go down. So anyone who's played Final Fantasy 9 here when Bahamut attacks Alexandria and the city comes to life, and that to me was one of the greatest moments of my life. It's literally this huge kingdom that this dragon attacks, and then a summoner brings in essence the castle to life, and it's this huge fight. And for the time, you're like, this is the best graphics I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is reality.
Is that dragon actually breathing?
Yeah, you're like covering your eyes. You're like, no. It's using them right at the same time.
You can overdo them.
Yeah,
but that's what I liked about when you go back to StarCraft once again is that your cutscene starts it like you get an introduction cutscene. It sets the scene, and you play a little mission, and then you get more of a cutscene at the end of it. And in between as well, you get mini cutscenes on whilst you're playing during the game, depending on what reaction is during the game as well, which is pretty good. And the decisions you make in the game also affect what the cutscene outcome is as well.
I like that,
which is kind of cool.
I like that. I don't want a cutscene to tell me about the game. I want a cutscene to tell me, to show me that what has happened because of what I've done.
Exactly.
I don't want it to tell me tell me how to play.
Yeah, exactly. Like for example, there's two sort of factions as you can put it in StarCraft. There's the Spectres and there's Ghosts. And there's at one point you can either go with the Spectres or go with the Ghosts. And there's a cutscene. I normally go with the Ghosts because Nova's hot, so. Standard. She's hot. And
priorities.
Like a black Rasta man. Yeah. He's pretty cool.
That's a strong corner now. When you said that.
It's true.
He may be hot.
He could be hot, but he's not my cup of tea. But yeah, and there's a great cutscene in it where he's like flying in a ship and he's like, "Oh, you've pissed me off now. You've gone off with Nova," and then all of a sudden you see like a knife come through the back of his skull, and then it's like, "Oh." The end of him, and then she pops on the screen and says, "He's taken care of," which is pretty cool.
So I'm spoiler alert!
Yeah. I listened to tell you the end.
I wasn't listening.
That's not even the end of the game. The end of the game's really good. Let me tell you about that.
I'm kind of a weird one with cutscenes because, they really annoy me. Like the ones in RPGs, I quite like the fact that when you play World of Warcraft, you go up to a quest giver, take the quest from them, and carry on your way, and then until there's a turning point or a crucial thing that requires a cinematic, they won't give you one.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you're doing this quest line to uncover this plot, and you're learning about the plot as you're doing it, because you've got to get the parts for this battlecruiser or whatever.
It's important.
At the end of it, the battlecruiser's made, so all of a sudden you're on the battlecruiser and you're flying into battle. They only brought this in over the past few expansions on World of Warcraft, but I like things like that. But then when you go into things like Skyrim was good, but Elder Scrolls Online, the stop-start of that game drives me nuts, and
that's what sent it back to the shop.
Yeah, I mean, I need.
That's what made it unsuccessful.
Yeah, I need to send it back, man, because Borderlands, I really enjoy Borderlands because of the frequency of small cutscenes.
They're short and they're funny as hell.
Yeah, and you just want more.
And they're there to be funny. They're not there to do anything.
The character introductions.
It's the character. Yeah, you want to know about the character. You want to be indulged in the game rather than shown this thing because you want to show me something.
I played the very start of Borderlands 1 again the other day. And you remember when you get to the first town, Firestone, and you kind of go in, and then you're trying to get into the shutter to see Dr. Zed, I think his name is. And that he gets a 4-second clip, and there's a half-dead body on the table, and it's him with kind of a round-shaped axe. He looks at you and just goes to hit the body, and then it just says Dr. Zed, and that's his cutscene.
I love those.
Yeah.
They're all over Borderlands, they are.
Bingo.
All over. It's boss fights as well.
Yeah, when they introduce the bot, they give that tagline.
And he's like, and it goes, boom, boom, and it gives you a slogan underneath.
Yeah, 9 toes, and then some little pun or joke.
Yeah, it's amazing. Borderlands is such a good game.
Great game. Really
and they could do so much more with it. If they had more budget or more influence from other places. They could do so much with Borderlands.
Well, the Tales of the Borderlands, the Telltale game, I don't know if you guys play the Telltale games. It's actually pertinent to this topic because essentially it is one long cutscene where you press a button every now and again.
Yeah, but isn't that Telltale's formula? Other than like maybe the
Yeah.
You can walk around in some of them.
This is what I was going to bring up about the text-based game that you talked about before in the last topic.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. That is the future of the
That's what they are,
text-based.
yeah. I was going to say it. But
without you typing N for north or say
exactly. Like, that's the only thing that's really missing from it. But
the illusion of choice is what those games.
Yeah.
No, cutscenes are hit and miss for me.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be the right game and it has to be a good story in order for me to really be invested in the cutscene. Like, some games don't need them, and I get the impression I think some games stick them in as a form of loading.
Oh, I don't mind that.
I think that's...
Which I don't mind that.
Unless they have to load the
I'd rather see that
sequence.
than a boring loading screen.
Yeah.
In a circle.
I want to see them Dragon Ball Z loading screens.
But games like The Last of Us, games like Assassin's Creed, in like Batman Arkham series, I think they did great with cutscenes. They wasn't too over the top, and it wasn't like very cinematic. Like they still had that kind of gameplay element to the graphics of it.
Assassin's Creed was good.
Yeah.
For cutscenes.
I went back. On about the loading screens. I went back and played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood the other day, and I still find that as soon as you're on a loading screen, you have like white background in empty space. I'm still just running around in circles, jumping. I'm not sure why I'm just running. I could just leave the controller away, but every time it's run and jump.
To get to the other side.
Yeah.
I've kind of got a final point on like Jerry's final whatever it is. It says on
Final
Jerry's
thought.
James's final thought.
You've got to wait till the end to do that, man.
Of this topic. I get topical.
I've got more on this topic. I've got so much.
Okay, well this is my final thought.
Okay, your final
thought. As games have got better, the need for cutscenes has kind of got less, and it's used more as a story device rather than we can do graphics. Let's do a cutscene.
Yeah.
My take on where that's going. So you talked about Final Fantasy IX before, and immediately a scene came to my head. Mainly because my discs were broken, and you could skip cutscenes on Final Fantasy IX by opening the disc tray and closing it again, and it would just load the next section. And there was one that I watched about 1,000 times, and that's why it's in my head. It's where you have hijacked the airship, and you're trying to get through the South Gate, which is a big disc in a mountain with a door, and they're closing it on you like this.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it's a cutscene. You get through there, and the person that's chasing you gets through there, and your black mage is firing fireballs back, and one gets destroyed. It hits a wall. That would be gameplay if it was made now. That wouldn't be a cutscene anymore.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't like that as a cutscene. I'd want it as gameplay.
Yeah.
It would 100% be gameplay.
Yeah, it should be. Like,
quite a cool thought, I like that.
Cutscenes should be all story.
Appreciate that, man.
All story. Like, action, you should do.
So I think that's the crux of it, isn't it? Because computers can do these things now. They should do these things.
Yeah.
But I think there's certain things that cutscenes can do that they need to do. Like they can't have the 30 seconds transition between like maybe a level or the next part of the level.
Mm-hmm.
They can't have you playing it. Because there's an important part that they need to tell you a bit of story, a bit of exposition or whatever to sort of push the story forward. If you're playing and you're not focusing on the conversation, you're off trying to scurriage around for berries or whatever in a forest. and you're not focused
I'm trying to talk
on
to you.
The conversation that's trying to push the story forward.
Yeah.
I think cutscenes.
I found with Grand Theft Auto actually, GTA, if you're driving along and something interrupts the dialogue or something's too loud, like you crash the car and you just hear a bang while he's trying to talk to you and tell you the story of what's happened, like he'll just start off again because he'll be like, oh, what the fuck are you doing, man? When did you learn to drive? And then you carry on driving and he'll be like, so anyway... And you just carry on
it's like a dynamic cutscene.
Yeah, it just like brings it back to the story. So
Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar, I think, are probably one of the few game producers that have literally nailed it.
Because I can't stand the GTA games.
Because they have no loading. They have no loading in that game.
No, there's extensive loading at the start.
There's actually no loading when you get into that game. When you walk into a new house, so there's no loading of this new structure. Like you walk in, it's already there.
If anybody does want GTA 5 on Xbox 360, you're more than welcome to take it off my hands for free. In fact, I might even pay you.
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas has just been released on the PlayStation Store.
Oh, right, okay.
For the PS4.
PS3.
Is it just on the PS3 store? Right. Here's the crappy detail of this. It's not the PS2 version. It is the Xbox 360 version, which in itself is a port of a mobile version. They ported it because San Andreas is on phone.
Yeah.
They sent that version to Xbox 360, and now PS3 has taken a port of that and is using that. So it's now four steps away from where it first started.
It's going to be GTA San Andreas bug.
Yeah.
Bug is here.
in brackets.
Yeah, I could just never get into the GTA games. Like, I could appreciate them for what they are. I just wasn't my cup of tea at all. Again,
I haven't been into a GTA game since Vice City.
I enjoyed that
because
original.
4 was pants.
4 was pants. I never got into San Andreas.
I enjoyed 4, but more because it was a next gen experience, not
I
because
played
it
the
was
original
anything else.
ones to death, like the top down ones. They were the best.
Played that one London.
GTA and GTA London,
Yeah.
GTA 5 was the first GTA I literally played to the last mission story wise.
London?
Yeah, there was, yeah.
Top down version and the
It was
like
almost.
the
What's
the
top
ball.
down?
Was there like missions? I don't
This is the
remember.
car, and this is the camera.
Top down. No,
Have you?
you've
never
never
played
played a
every
GTA like this.
This is the only way to play the GTA.
My word.
There's
There's a Grand Theft Auto 3, like Vice City, San Andreas 4 and 5. That means there's a 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I think
And they
London
were-
was the first.
Because, like, this is the only one I've played extensively and everything else was crap except if you knew cheats, so, like, tank. So, like, I was just like, oh, yeah, 3, 4, they were kind of crap, so 2 and 1 are going to be awful.
But they were almost
They were
the
the
best
best.
one, yeah.
Yeah, they were so much fun. Just went way in. I remember on the PC version you could get onto the train, but in the console version you couldn't. So you could wait on the train station with a flamethrower, and then everyone would come out of the train and just go hello, torch them all, get on the train, and go to the next stop.
You're a bad man.
Yeah.
GTA makes us all bad men.
Yeah,
it
does.